live without your immune system? This is David Better, a boy born in 1971 with a rare genetic disorder that left him without a properly functioning immune system. He spent his entire life living inside a sterilized bubble, unable to feel the touch of another human being, because the slightest amount of contamination would have resulted in a life-threatening infection. Each day, our body fights off millions upon millions of attacks from bacteria, microbes, etc., from the air we breathe, from the food we eat, and the things that we touch. And it is all thanks to our immune system that we are able to live our lives freely like we do today. So, to start things off, I would like to introduce us to three key terms, the first two being the two branches of our immune system, our innate immune system and our adaptive immune system. So, innate comes from the word inherent, and it means existing at birth, and that's precisely what our innate immune system is. It's there from the time we are born. Our adaptive immune system comes from the word to adjust or to fit, and our adaptive immune system is there at birth, but it requires several times of exposure to microbes or other harmful pathogens, which I will explain soon, in order to fully develop and come into effect. The third key term is pathogen, coming from the word patho, which is the Greek root for disease, and gen, meaning to produce. So pathogens are anything that can produce disease or cause disease, and these can include bacteria, viruses, or parasites. So our innate immune system is non-specific. It can include things such as our skin or mucosal membranes, and they are physical barriers. There are also broad immune cells that I will also go into later. So let's say, for example, you've taken a fall, you've accidentally punctured your hand on a splinter of wood. What would happen next? If you can recall any time you had a wound, you probably remember that the area around your wound gets very red or swollen and you feel really uncomfortable. This is actually your immune system kicking into action through a process known as inflammation. So through this, your blood vessels become dilated, and that means that your blood vessels expand, allowing for immune cells to reach the site of infection faster. These immune cells are more commonly I'll introduce us to a more common immune cell known as the macrophage. And if we break down its name, we'll know that macro means large and phage means to eat. So these cells do exactly what their name suggests. All they do is eat a lot. They're very large. They're one of the largest immune cells in our body. And you can think of them as Pac-Men, basically. So they go around the site of infection and they eat up any pathogens or contaminants that shouldn't be there. However, just like Pac-Man, there are some things that it can't eat. And in that case, normally we'd probably, our infection would become it would fester. We'd probably have to resort to amputation if we didn't have proper treatment. And in the worst case scenario, we would probably die. But thankfully, that's not the case. If you scrape your knee, you're not going to die. And that's actually all thanks to our second line of defense, known as our adaptive immune system. So our adaptive immune system is different from our innate immune system in the fact that it is very specific. However, its specificity comes at a cost, meaning that it would take a lot of time for the specificity to come into action. So in our adaptive immune system, we have two key players, B cells and T cells. I've come up with a way to hopefully help you guys remember where these guys come from and what they do. So our B cells come from our bone marrow, and they produce antibodies. These antibodies are basically molecules that are produced after exposure to recognize surface proteins on pathogens in order to help neutralize them and eradicate them. Our T cells, on the other hand, come from our thymus, and they work in teams. And what this basically means is that we have two types of T cells, helper T cells and killer T cells. So you can imagine your helper T cells as the scouts in a battle or something. They go out and they look for infected cells that shouldn't be there, and they flag them down with special markers. Afterwards, your killer T cells come in, they look for those markers that have been placed before by the helper T cells, and then they eradicate those infected cells, helping to protect your body and keep it safe. So hopefully I've been able to simplify the immune system in a way that can be better understood by everyone. And it is through this conjunction between your innate and your adaptive immune systems that help keep you safe today. Thank you.